All right. Hello. Hello. I feel like I am a little blurry. At least that's what it looks like on my end today. So give me a second. I know. Bear with me today, guys. Let me see if I clean my lens off if that gets better. That looks a little better. Kind of. I still feel like I look a little fuzzy. Well, it is that time. We are live. I am ready to go. Hope it doesn't look too crazy over there. If it looks weird to you guys, let me know and then I will like stop it and restart it and get us situated. But for some reason, it looks quite fuzzy to me. But today we are talking about doctor appointment disappointment, when that doctor did nothing, and what you can do to save some time and some money. Because I am hearing this as a primary care physician. I am hearing people come into my office and say, that doctor did nothing for me. I am hearing this from my patients. I'm hearing this from just other people, family members, all that kind of stuff. They said, I went to that doctor and I felt like they didn't do anything for me. I wasted my time and my money when I went. And I don't want people to do that, because what I realized was happening when I have this discussion with people is due to a few things. It is because you either don't trust it, don't understand it, or there is a disconnect in the expectations. But either way, at the end of the day, you are not getting what you need. Well, we are changing that today, because I want you to get what you need. I want to make sure that you are not wasting time or money. Those are my two big things. Don't waste my time, don't waste my money. Okay. So I'm going to help you do that. I'm going to give you some tips that you can use so that you can get what you need. If you are new here, or if you are still joining and along with the family, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, I am Dr. Ashley Booth. I'm a board certified family medicine physician, and I provide you with health tips and tools that you can use in your everyday life, because what I understand is that your life affects your health. Now, I'm ready to get into it, but before I do, I want to make sure that you go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Turn on your notification bell, all the things. And then, I love a good discussion, so you can drop it into the chat. Let me know who's watching, where you're watching from. As we start talking about these things, if you have some situations that have happened, or agree, disagree, whatever, I am here for the conversation. So put your comments in the chat. So let's go ahead. Oh, and also share. Let the people know that we're talking about this, because I know that no one I know of likes to waste their time or their money. So let them know, because at some point in your life, you're going to have to go and see a doctor. And when you go, you want to maximize that, and you don't want to feel like it was a wasted trip. So let them know she is talking about it, and she's going to help us save some time and some money today. Okay. So this is what I've noticed with this whole doctor appointment disappointment. People are telling me I don't want to go because they already tell me they don't like coming to the doctor, which I understand, and that's another hurdle and another topic for another day. But people don't want to go because I just don't understand why we are going. I get there, I don't feel like they heard me. I feel like it was a waste of my time, it was a waste of my money, and ultimately they didn't do anything for me, and I could have just stayed home. Right? Does that sound familiar? Well, what I'm realizing is people didn't get it. And when they come into my the provider, and then they'll come to me and they say, that doctor didn't do anything for me. And I'm like, really? They didn't do anything. This is what's going on with you, and this is my plan, and this is what I think we should do. And then we'll have a discussion, and they will tell me, like, this is my lifestyle. Yes, I can do that. No, I can't do that. Whatever it is. But we will have that discussion. I will talk about it. They will say, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then I will explain, this is why we are going to do that. This is the reason why I feel like this is the path that we should go down. They say, okay. And I say, in the meantime, I'm going to get your records from your other doctors so that I can see what they actually did, what was the plan that was in place, so I can figure out like exactly what happened. They say, okay, I get those records back, and 9 times out of 10, that plan that that other provider had in place is very similar to the one that I put in place. So it really is no difference. But what was the reason why that person decided to go along with the plan that I had and not the plan with the other person? There's a reason for that. And what I'm realizing is it is a trust issue or it's an understanding issue. They didn't trust it because they didn't feel like it would work. I'm hearing that a lot because of the lifestyle or for some beliefs. Like, I just don't, I don't think that's going to work for me, right? It just, you either believe it or your lifestyle says this is not going to work. You want me to take a medicine 4 times a day? I'm busy, I have to do other things. I don't have time to keep track of something 4 times a day, whatever. So you don't trust it, right? The other thing is you didn't understand it. It doesn't make sense to you. They told you to do this, and it's like that doesn't even really make sense. Or it seems really complicated. So I can't follow along. I can't keep track of this. So it doesn't make sense. The other thing is expectations. The other I've noticed is that I've had some people come in and say, well, they wanted me to do this. And I said, well, what else did they do? And then they wanted me to do that. Okay. And what else? And then they had me to do this. And I said, okay. And they said, but I didn't want to do any of those. And I said, okay, well, now we have to talk about like expectations. What do we really think they can do in order to help you get well? So here is what you can do. When it comes to that trust or understanding issue, you have to ask some questions. You have to be involved. You have to start asking them. If you feel like, okay, I don't quite trust this because I don't think this makes sense because I'm having these types of symptoms and you are giving me this medicine, but I don't think that's really what I have. That's a lot of what I'm seeing here lately. I don't think that's what I have. So I don't think I should take this medicine, or I don't think I should do this treatment, or I should. So ask them, okay, why are we doing this? Because I don't think this is what I have. Then that opens up the dialogue and they can tell you, okay, your symptoms are following this pattern, and this is some of the ways that we can rule it out and determine, is this truly what you have, right? You can also say, what are the next steps? If I try this, how long am I supposed to be on this? Is this the what's the long game? Like that kind of stuff. Now, they can probably cannot walk you through the next 5 steps because depending on what happens between steps 1 and 2 may change the direction of where you're going to have to go. So they may say, after we do this, if this doesn't happen, then this is the next step. So you may not get all of the full picture because, again, those steps can change depending on what happens with your symptoms. The other thing is seek a second opinion, but from a reliable source. Hear me again. You can seek a second opinion. I am not above getting a second opinion. I openly welcome second opinions, but from a reliable source. So I know that you guys have been getting a lot of information from your TikTok and your Googles and your Chat GPTs, and all of that is making the news and saying how it is finding all of these treatments and diagnoses for people. I get that. But that is not the most reliable source. It can help. I'm not going to discredit some of the things. It can help bring us some information in there, but that should not be your sole source and say, well, I went on TikTok or I went on so and so and that must be it. Your symptoms could be totally different. Your picture could be different. There's some other nuances in there that may not fit what you have going on. So when I say a reliable source, that is from someone in the same field with the same level of credentials. So if you are seeing a doctor for this, a primary care physician for this, then you need to go and seek help from another primary care physician. If you have somebody in your family or whatever that you can reach out to and say, hey, this is what's going on. I wonder if this, then that's what you can do. So I'm saying same level of credentials because these people pretty much do this and they're able to do it. So this is the thing. We have specialists, and we have specialists for a reason. So they specialize in certain things. If there is one thing that's going on with the lungs, then I will not reach out to my GI doctor to ask them, hey, what do you think this is? Especially if I don't think they're related. So you may have a friend who's a doctor, but if they don't do primary care and it's a primary care issue, and they do cardiology, they may have a little bit of, okay, maybe you can think about this, maybe you can think about that. But that is not where their brain is functioning all the time. Their brain is functioning another level of the specialty of things. So you want to find someone who does that you can ask. And listen, I'm not above it. I told you, I am a physician, but I'm also a patient at times. And so I reached out to a healthcare provider for something, and it was something that I am not used to doing all the time. So I needed some guidance on it. And when they went through that process, I was like, "Mm, I don't." I knew in that moment this doesn't make sense, and I knew I was starting to shut down. I said, "No, I'm probably not gonna follow this because what they're saying doesn't make sense." And I've asked them some questions, and they're not quite answering these questions. I'm not getting the answers from them that I feel like I need to help me with this. So then I reached out to someone else that I knew who did that same thing, that had very similar credentials. And I told them, I said, "This is my concern. What do you think about this?" And they were able to walk me through it. And they said, "Oh, okay, I understand what your issue is, and I understand what they said." So then they translated and put it in, and it made so much sense. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I wish you practiced here," because then I would just come straight to you because you made this make so much more sense. And I am now more willing to follow it because I trust what you're telling me. You have some information to back it up, and you're telling me, and you're answering the questions where it makes sense to me. Not saying that the other person wasn't answering my questions, they did, but it didn't make sense to me. So that's the other thing that you want to do. So you want to make sure that you get a second opinion from someone else in that same field with the same credentials, so that way they can truly give you a sense of like, yeah, that makes sense, and then this is the other step, and then they may give you some guidance on, and when you go back to them, ask them this to kind of help this process, right? So you want to do that in that situation. When it comes to the expectation side of things, understand that it is a process. Depending on how much you have going on, how deep your situation is, depends on if we are going to have to try a few things. Are we going to have to do this, and this to help rule it out because you have 50 million symptoms? I'm just kidding. But let's just say you have quite a few symptoms and they don't all quite make sense. And it's not like, okay, well, this goes with this and this. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So this is what you have. If you have quite a few things that are going on, it may not be that clear to say, okay, this is exactly what we need to do, and this is the way that we need to go, and all of that. That may not be what happens. So it could be a process, and they may have to do kind of like some elimination things to help us eliminate. Help me help you. The way to do that is to be prepared. You do not know how many times people come and they are not prepared. I ask them questions. When, as simple as, when did it start? A while ago. A while ago doesn't give me, is because everybody's while is a different. Is a while a week ago, a year ago, a month ago? I don't know. So being able to keep track of when things started, what kind of symptoms you are having, do those symptoms change during different times of the day? When you start doing that, that really starts to help us figure out, okay, where this could be. Is there anything that is associated with it? The more you know, the better we are to now start narrowing down things and taking things off the table, and maybe putting some other differentials, or what we call it, some other diagnoses in to help us figure out what's going on. Be open minded. That's the other thing, because those treatment options may not be what you expect. You say, I went in there because I was having a cough. The differential for cough, the different types of diagnosis for cough, one of those things people automatically think it must be my lungs. Well, it could also be your GI system, and it could be acid reflux. But you say, well, I'm not having a burning in my chest and stuff like that. But it could present as a cough. It could be medication related. Is there medicine that you're on that could be doing this? So it could be really broad. So sometimes when people say that medicine that they gave me didn't make sense, then ask them, why do you think this is acid reflux? Or why are you giving me an acid reflux medicine? I didn't tell you I had any symptoms for that, so why didn't you give me an inhaler? Okay, see? So then those are some of the things, you start having that conversation and be open-minded about it and ask them those questions so that they will know. But then the other things from these options now, let's be very very clear about this. Sometimes you can have several options because there's only so many options that we have, right? We don't have 50 million options. We have a few, and then from there, then we have to decide what we're going to do from there. But from those options, we have to be reasonable about it. If we have started with very conservative things, and then we move to something else, and we move to something else, and then you still say, I don't want to do that, that doesn't work for me, then at that point, you have to determine, what do you expect from this experience? because there's only so many things that we can do. Like, I don't have a magic wand and say, you are now well, you are good to go. There are going to be some things that we're going to have to do. And sometimes those things are watchful, what we call watchful waiting. It just started. I give you some things to do at home, some very simple things that you feel like doesn't make sense, some exercises, some, anti-inflammatories over the counter, a little bit of ice, something like that, and say that's not going to work for me. Have you tried it? So we have to think about that. Are you willing to try it? So keeping your mind open, having those expectations that are realistic so that you can get what you need. But all of this overall means that you're going to have to be proactive. You're going to have to be an active participant in your care. So you can't just say, well, the doctor didn't do anything for me. Some of this, well, then what did you do? Did you voice your opinion? Did you say, okay, did you ask any questions? Any of those types of things. You have to be active in this. It's not just you go and then they do. You guys both should do. You have to advocate for yourself. And advocating is one of those big things. That means speaking up and speaking up and letting them know. I work with the people who come and see me. We work together. I fully appreciate, because I learned this early on, that I can come up with the most beautiful treatment plan, but if you don't follow it because you don't understand it or it doesn't make sense for your lifestyle, you're not going to do it. And then I get frustrated because you come back and I'm like, oh, the things I did, this should be working. And then they say I didn't do it. Or I keep going up on the medication because I'm like, well, obviously this dose is not working, so I need to go up. But I found out to just ask, are you taking it? And before we even get to the are you taking it, will you take it before you leave this office? Because that's what's important. And if not, why not? Because there's no sense in you coming here, me prescribing you something, and then you leave and say, I'm not doing it. That was a waste of time and money, right? You don't want to do that. So you want to be upfront with them. So now if someone tells me I'm not going to take it, I say, why? Then they say, well, I read on so and so that it will cause this. And then we have a discussion, and I'll say, you are correct. Or actually, this is what is going to happen, or actually blah blah blah, because sometimes people get bits and pieces of information. Well, I heard this medicine is going to hurt my kidneys. I said, no, actually it's actually going to protect your kidneys, and if this continues on and other things are not well controlled, that is actually what's going to hurt your kidneys. So you have to be more well informed. So if there is something that's out there and they're offering it to you and say, not going to do it. Well, let them know, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that because of this, because I work and I have to be going the majority of the day. I'm not going to be able to take a medicine that's going to have me going to the bathroom 50 million times. It's that just not going to work for me while I'm at work. So, okay, we have other options. But if you never say anything, then that is where it's going to end up being, where you are wasting time and money because you went to get something and you didn't get it. And at the end of the day, it is supposed to be you getting what you need. So, in order to prevent this whole doctor appointment disappointment, there's some ways to prevent it. Be sure to follow these tips. You want to make sure that you have a partnership with your doctor so that you guys can have a trusting and understanding relationship, so that you guys are both also on the same page with the same expectations, because you want to be whole and you want to be healed. Until next time, I am wishing you healing, and I will see you soon. Take care.